Good afternoon, everyone. Enjoy the lunch. Let's give a big round of applause to our friends here at the Hilton Harrisburg for their assistance. And thanks to the student world there for today's entertainment. I do recognize several individuals and two groups that are here with us today. During the elected officials recognition, Commissioner Hartwick was cleaning the door, so we didn't have it on the list. As in my third meeting with Commissioner Hartwick today, so we thought it was a member of our own staff, so we made a mistake at the door. So Commissioner Hartwick, thank you very much. We'll make sure we recognize you as well. Welcome, County Commissioner. And as we mentioned in the beginning, we wanted this event to be different this year. We can see on the stage it's going to be a little bit different. And one of the ways we wanted to do that, along with having a nonprofit partner for the event, was to invite students from SciTech and Harrisburg High School, along with Superintendent Eric Turman, to be here. To hear from the mayor, to hear from leaders in the city that is theirs as well. So Eric was over there. It's got a group of students. Just say hi, give a round of applause. And before I turn the program over to our next presenter, please turn your attention to the screens for a brief word from our exclusive platinum sponsor, M&T Bank. Not only teaching children soccer, but teaching them skills like perseverance and confidence and drive. Soccer is definitely a family, and we're really proud that we're able to bring more children into that community every day. M&T is completely dedicated to the communities that it serves. It is aligned in terms of our mission and our desire to impact our community positively. I don't think you can put a price on it. Great partners, all within the context of shared values. Now, please welcome Mira Howard, the Regional President of Central and Western Pennsylvania for M&T Bank.
Thank you, Ryan. And it's my pleasure to be here today. And I also wanted to spend a little time with Ryan earlier. And hopefully some of you saw the opening of the Dauphin County Library. It's a big day in Harrisburg today, and certainly a fun day to be here. At M&T Bank, we're driven by our commitment to making a difference in people's lives, encouraging and enabling our customers, colleagues, and communities to thrive. And that's why we are proud to be the exclusive platinum sponsor of this event and eager to hear from Mayor Williams on the exciting progress we are seeing in Harrisburg as we work together towards that goal. The mayor will speak first, followed by several of her department heads who will speak for 5 minutes. And I don't know if you saw, there's a timer over there. Each to provide a more in-depth look at the administration. A lifelong resident of Harrisburg, Mayor Williams has dedicated her life to public service. First, as an employee of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and then as a member of the Harrisburg City Council from 2010 to 2021, and was sworn in as mayor on January 3rd of this year. She also serves as an executive board member of the Pennsylvania Municipal League, as a Dauphin County Democratic Committee woman, and as a board member for the Downtown Improvement District. Mayor Williams has worked tirelessly to stabilize the city's financial standing, positioning it to continue on this path of growth and progress. She is dedicated to supporting Harrisburg residents and making sure they have the proper resources they need to thrive and prosper. Now, please join me in welcoming the mayor of the city of Harrisburg, Wanda R.D. Williams. Good afternoon, everyone. And there are one here because you're still at home. I'm down here into the camera thing. That's okay. Welcome to dignitaries, election officials, citizens, and friends. Whether you live here, work here, or visit here, I'm here to tell you the story of our tremendous city, the capital of the Keystone State, Harrisburg. It's stronger than it's ever been in decades. Today, in this moment, we celebrate what we accomplished, but we will not be complacent. What we started is strong, but we are not satisfied. In just 10 months, we have accomplished so much, but there is so much left to do. What has been done through would be possible without the assistance of my dear friends. My three amigos, Commissioner Mike Priest, Commissioner Chancellor, and Commissioner Joe Parker. Please give them a hand. But I'd also like to thank our partners on the state level. Governor Tom Woods, the Department of Community and Economic Development, Department of Transportation, and the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. We share a home in this great city, and it's wonderful to have tremendous neighbors. This will not be your typical state of the city address. Then again, if you know me, and I think many of you do, I am not your typical mayor. It is my preference to sit down with each and every one of them, person to person, face to face, and have a conversation about your needs and concerns, so everyone in the city can be successful. It is how I built my career for decades. First, as a union rep, then as a school board president, and most recently as president of the Harrisburg City Council for 12 years. In the past, the mayor has stood here and worked sporadically for 10 minutes about all the great things going on in the city of Harrisburg and all the great things to come. Frankly, it's self-serving because whether you're a mayor of a city or run a business, you cannot do it on your own. It's oftentimes the people behind you who make those cars carry. Right now, you have noticed there are people beside me. Some you recognize, others maybe not so much. By the time we leave here today, you already know their names, but you know their importance. Without them, the city of Harrisburg does not function. Dave Baker, Steve Burtner, Thomas Potter, Denise Hill, Marita Kelly, Gina, Roberson, and Carl Singleton are all a small part of the city of Harrisburg's great turnaround. There are nearly 400 people who work across the street there, serving you every day. And if I have my way, all 400 will come up and turn down because they are the most resourceful, committed employees to the city of Harrisburg. But they will be here until Sunday. And my Cowboys play on the top. Jokes aside, you'll hear from each of them over the course of the next hour and how the city is better today than it was 10 months ago. First, in the areas of economic development, housing, public safety, diversity and inclusion, technology, community engagement, recreation, and finance. I say finance for this. Today, you will hear from Rita Kelly, the city's finance director. In January, I helped to We to go to once and for all eliminate the $125 million debt this city has been paying off for 25 years. We not only hit that mark, I need to know, we hit that mark. But very, very soon, we'll say goodbye to the assurance debt as well. More than 12 million will go back into our annual budget. Money that will go towards safer roads, more police officers and firefighters, sanitation workers, and other capital investments the city has lacked for 3 decades. You'll hear from Denise here, our Director of Housing and Economic Development. She will tell you how we are combating homelessness every day, providing more affordable housing to our residents, and bringing in businesses into the city, which will eliminate the food deserts. Dave Baker, Parks and Recreation and Facilities, will tell you about the new parks on the way to Harrisburg and how more than $2.5 million in grants is making them cleaner, greener, and safer for our youth. Carl Singleton, our Chief of Equity and Inclusion, will explain the steps we are taking to make Harrisburg more diverse than ever before. With his support and deep knowledge, we are here to let you know Harrisburg is open for business. And it does not matter who you are. We want you. We will accept you. And in this city, we will embrace you. Our Director of Information Technology, Steve Bortler, is here to explain a whole lot better than I ever could how a brand new mainframe system will help take the city of Harrisburg out of the early stages of internet computing and into the new millennium of computing, and how it affects every single person in this room. My advisor, Gina Roberson, will share with you how in only 10 months we become more engaged in this community than we ever could imagine. Harrisburg has been my home for more than 67 years, and I want all of you to be just as proud of living here as I am. And lastly, Commissioner Tom Carter will share what his men and women on the police force are doing to collect a record number of guns off the street. And while he feels the Harrisburg Bureau of Police will reach its full complement of officers next year for the first time in a decade. I also want to give a special shout out to Fire Chief Brian Enterline. The work he and the Harrisburg Fire Department has done this year is second to none. While calls to service have risen, they too have risen to the challenge of protecting Harrisburg citizens. The Harrisburg Bureau of Police is staffed 24 hours a day, 365 days out of the year, 7 days a week. They are always on call, ready to spring into action. Oftentimes, they respond to fires in the city in under 5 minutes, which is an accomplishment. It is believed to be the fastest in the fire department's history. Because of that, I am beyond proud to say not a single life has been lost under their watch in the year 2022. And it's not just lives being saved, it's property as well. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars of property has been saved by our firefighters this year. Furthermore, a lot in firefighters has put an even greater dependence on our firefighters. Mutual aid assistance from municipalities outside the city is at an all-time high. And it's not uncommon for Harrisburg firefighters to still arrive first on the scene. And the respect our firefighters are putting into Harrisburg's name is more than just local, it's national. 8 members of the Harrisburg Fire Department just returned home from Florida. where they helped search and rescue missions in the wake of Hurricane Ian as members of PA Task Force 1, an elite group of first responders working under FEMA. We thank you, firefighters, and salute your work at home and around the nation. Harrisburg has a place at the lobbying table more than ever. In addition to mayor, I am also a board member on the Harrisburg Parking Committee, the Downtown Improvement District, and the Pennsylvania Municipal League. We just held our annual conference in Pittsburgh 2 weeks ago. What does that mean for all of you? It means for the first time, we have a voice statewide on the issues which matter most to municipalities. Next, you will hear from members of my great team. But before they come forth, I would like to introduce the backbone of my administration. From day one to present, he has hit the ground running. And I have to get a little to hold him, and I never know where he is. His name is Mr. Dan Hartman. Please stand, Dan. Dan has so much energy. I'm always looking, and he's always running. But ladies and gentlemen, people of Harrisburg, we are 10 months into a journey to rebuild this city. In January, we started work with no budget in place at all. Imagine picking up a rental car with no gas in the tank. Yet, the people not living across the street banded together because we all love this city. Many of us were born here. Many of us raised our families here. We are Harrisburg, just like all of you. And for the next 3 years, and God willing, 4 more after that, the best is yet to come. At this time, it's my pleasure to welcome to the podium my dear friend and someone who the city of Harrisburg is blessed to have leading our public safety division, Commissioner Thomas Carter. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mayor, for your kind words. Thank you, everybody, for showing up here. Harrisburg is a beautiful city, and the police force is in the midst of growing resurgence. And it's great for me to be the leader of Harrisburg City. Just giving you a brief history. Back in 2014, until present, we have hired 129 officers. Due to COVID and due to the lower paying skill of Harrisburg City, we lost over half of those officers. We were testing every year, consortium testing with 13 other agencies, and due to what's going on around the country, no one wants to do this job anymore. No one wants to be a soldier anymore, police anymore. It was hard to find officers that would want to take this job because unlike the townships, the city did not have the money to pay what the townships paid. But we were still looking for good officers that love the city, that had compassion in their heart, officers that wanted to serve this great city and to bring this great city back. Because I can tell you, back when I was growing up, myself and Mayor Williams, Harrisburg was a great city. There was no vacant lots, there was no vacant houses, there were vibrant businesses. And Mayor Williams wants to bring that back. I have faith in her, and that's going to happen. But talking about my agency, so what we decided to do, we went to Mayor Williams and we talked to her about us giving our own separate test. That's been working out well. At this present time, I have 136 officers, And by 2023, I expect to be up to full complement of 158 sworn officers to protect this lovely city and the citizens of the city. Like everything else, police work has changed, and we have a community partners. And one of our partners is at Mayor Williams when she was city council president. We went to her and asked about if we can start a CSA program, community service aides. We were given the green light by our great city council staff. We hired 6 community service aides, and they're doing a great job. They are taking the non-emergency calls from us. They're enforcing city ordinances. They're investigating quality of life issues, and they're freeing up police officers to handle important calls that we should be at. So I'm thankful about that. They also this year applied for a $500,000 gun violence grant. And as you know, there's a lot of violence going on in this world. A lot of violence. There's a lot of shootings and what have you. In Harrisburg, we have our share of problems. We don't have as many as other cities have. We're on the lower spectrum, but with this gun violence grant, it'll give us the opportunity to bring resources together to talk to these young kids to see what they need, see how we can best serve them. We're partnering with the school district, Mr. Tarman, he's over there, and I thank him for every meeting that we had so far. The school district is willing to help because we have to educate our youth before we can do anything else with them. Harrisburg Police started a new DOORS program. The DOORS program is a reporting system where citizens who have a complaint, who want to make a complaint, instead of calling 911, they can come into the lobby, they can go online, and they can fill out a report there. And officers will get back to them. Every month, we are taking in 200 to 300 calls and reports from people. Thanks to the commissioner sitting back there, we're able to team with them to do a mental health program. We have responders, co-responders riding with the officers, and they respond with us on calls of the mental health nature. And that program is really working out well. We had 58 officers from my agency trained by Dr. Ashley Yinger in this area. We've also hired civilian staff. We hired 2 full-time crime analysts, a substation manager, a body-worn camera manager, accreditation manager, court liaison, special events manager, and records management system manager, and a fleet manager. And I'm saying that because police agencies are changing now. You know, it's not all police officers doing everything there. We have to open it up to the public to collaborate with them so that we're able to get out there and put more officers on the street. When this year first started, we had an uptick in gun violence. I'm sure you know that everybody heard about that. We had a lot of double homicides this year. My heart goes out to all of the families of the victims who were taken from us this year. But to let you know, Harrisburg Police did not falter. We did not do anything but our jobs, and my detective unit they arrested 12 people for the different murders in the city, and we're getting warrants on other people. So far this year, we've taken, I believe, 218 guns off the street. This morning, we're out on a raid and we took 3 more guns off the street. Year to date since 2017, when I first started the program, when my officers would confront people carrying guns. And just let me say this here, that's a very, very dangerous situation because you're confronting kids that are anywhere from 11 to 15 years old. You can imagine confronting a child that young and they have a gun in their hand and they're looking at you and their eyes are popping through their head because they're nervous, you're nervous, you don't know what's going to happen. But since 2017, we were able to take over 1,368 guns off of the streets of our beloved city, and that is without pulling the trigger on anybody's kid, without taking anybody's kid's life. And I think that this speaks highly to the work of our officers. And to wrap things up, I just want to say that I am so proud that we have a mayor such as Mayor Williams, who loves the city. She calls me in her office all the time and she says to me, what do you need? How can I support you? What do you need to change? And I give her a wish list. And she gives me everything that I want because she loves the citizens of the city. If you look at what's going on around here, with the courthouse, State Archive building, some other big plans, Second Street detail, the bridge thing that is going to be changed in the city. Harrisburg will get back to that state of beauty. You know, when you talk about Harrisburg, I hear everybody talking about when I ride past that Water Street Bridge, the skyline is so beautiful in that city at nighttime. I want to tell you something. It's just not the skyline. It's the wonderful people that we have living here too, and collaboration between everybody sitting out there. And I thank you for listening to me. Thank you. At this time, I want to introduce a friend of mine, the Director of Parks, Recreation, and Building, and everything else, Mr. Dave Baker.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is David Baker. I serve as the Director of Parks, Recreation, and Facilities for the city of Harrisburg. Can you guys hear me okay? All right. I feel like I gotta eat this. I'm sorry. During my time in this role, I have had the honor of overseeing the city's parks maintenance and special events, Parks, Recreation, and Facilities Department. Under Mayor Williams' leadership, we have successfully planted well over 200 trees throughout the cities, utilizing the Parks Maintenance Department, City Forester, tree tender volunteers, and many city resident volunteers as well. We have also removed hundreds of hazardous trees in over 75 residential locations around the city, utilizing the low-income and senior tree programs as well. Several corridor improvements were achieved as well to increase line of sight. Some of our parks focused accomplishments include entering into an agreement with Central Penn College to utilize Skyline Field at City Island as their home soccer field for games. They have assisted us in upgrading signage and scoreboards throughout the island. So far this year, we have received $2.5 million in grants with more on its way. These funds will improve our children's parks and our city's green spaces and trail systems for many years to come. These improvements would not have been possible if it were not for my dedicated project management staff and a wonderful city grants manager who worked tirelessly to continue moving us in the right direction. We've broken ground on the state-of-the-art Chutes and Ladders playground project at Reservoir Park and are in the process of working towards building a top-lot playground, an extended parking area, a music play area, and improved stormwater management systems throughout the park. Our special events department is responsible for organizing and implementing all 6 city festivals each year. These festivals include the Fire and Ice Festival, the Arts Fest, the 4th of July Food Truck Festival, the Capona, the Harrisburg Holiday Parade, and the New Year's Eve event. This year, we've seen an increase in funding of over $32,000 in sponsorship for this year. This year alone, we have a total of over $100,000 in donations, and we still have 2 more events to go. Our Bureau of Parks and Recreation has increased its annual programming. We've given away bicycles and backpacks at our free movie nights over the summer. Coming up next week, we'll have our first ever bash at the Brownstone Halloween party. And in December, you can bring your families and children to Reservoir Park Mansion to visit with Santa Claus. We have opened the doors to residents, or to record numbers of residents volunteering their time and beautifying the city. I would like to say a special thank you to TE Connectivity, Harrisburg Youth Corps, Rogue Soul Training, Cargo, the United Way, Faith into Action, and many others for spending their time during the day beautifying our wonderful city. Thank you all for your time. And at this point, I would like to welcome our city's Chief Equity and Compliance Officer, Mr. Carl Singleton.
Good afternoon. I want to publicly thank Mayor Wanda R.D. Williams for her visionary leadership, entrusting me with all matters related to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Intentional focus of DEI has gone from a campaign promise to a reality, not just within city government, but throughout our great capital city. Mayor Williams' leadership has charged all of us to ensure that we are forward-thinking while remaining committed to fully engaging all from an equity lens. As the Chief Equity and Compliance Officer, I consider it a distinct honor and to be entrusted with cultivating personal relationships, environments among community partners, and diversity. My role reports directly to the mayor. My office plans, organizes, directs, and manages all functions that support government equity efforts. We evaluate, design, and lead programs, policies, practices, and procedures that advance institutional change where the city has control to influence inequities. With that in mind, one of the first groups we started was the Equity and Compliance Office. Within the Equity and Compliance Office was the Virtual Equity Roundtable Committee. This group is comprised of local, state, and national professionals. The focus is to maintain the open line of communication for professionals to ensure the city remains aware and focused of evidence-based best practices while developing strategies to address and ultimately eradicate structural and systemic racial and economic disparities. We hold virtual equity committee meetings the 4th Thursday of each month. The focus in these 4 areas within the committees are health, education, law and justice, and workforce. Aside from the monthly meetings, the 4th Thursday, individual committee meetings, the entire group meets virtually the 2nd Tuesday of every month with Mayor Williams present. All meetings are asked to be 55 minutes or less. At this time, if there are any economic development committee, if there are any of our equity roundtable committee members present, would you please stand? As many of you know, the city is in the midst of a disparity study of local businesses. After decades of systemic omission of under-resourced businesses, this initiative highlights a 3-way funding commitment between the City of Harrisburg, Dauphin County Commissioners, and Impact Harrisburg. $250,000 was invested to study how we can better engage our minority businesses with fidelity. If there's any representatives from Impact Harrisburg present, and I'll also ask at this time with the commissioners to please stand if they're still here. Oh, we thank you. We are expecting final recommendations of the disparity study before 2023. It is worth noting that the results of this study will allow Mayor Williams' administration to have a legally defensible document which can set a pathway in perpetuity for minority women business enterprises to have equitable access whenever city resources are being allocated. In closing, I want to again thank Mayor Wanda R.D. Williams, my fellow colleagues, for the ongoing support and opportunity to work collaboratively in the equity and compliance space in the service to a community which reared me. I'm deeply grateful for this opportunity. At this time, I'd like my Harrisburg High School students to please stand up and represent it that's representing her. Give them a round of applause. Because I once sat in seats where I almost thought it was impossible to be in the seat that I'm in now. And beyond that, it gives me great pleasure to even highlight that my son and the current homecoming king is sitting over there as well. It is my honor now to welcome next Ms. Marita Kelly, Director of the city's Finance Bureau, to say a few words.
My name is Marita Kelly. Can you hear me okay now?
No? Thank you. My name is Marita Kelly, and I'm the Director of Finance for the City of Harrisburg. And as many of you know, 2022 has been an incredibly busy, but ultimately very successful year when it comes to financial management. Thanks to Mayor Williams, our financial house is in order for the first time in decades. Immediately after Mayor Williams was sworn in, she went to work with, she was sworn in on January 3rd. She went to work developing and introducing the 2023 fiscal year budget to City Council. The 22 annual budget was the first budget in nearly 30 years to produce a general fund budget surplus of $1.5 million. Under her leadership, she will work with City Council to distribute $47.3 million in the American Rescue Plan Act funding. Council has already approved nearly $16 million of that total, and we are looking forward to them clearing away for the remaining $26 million in proposed funds. We believe that this is life-changing money for the people of Harrisburg, and it will improve the quality of life for all families across the city. The city's fund balance on June 15th, 2022 was $34.5 million. The mayor has carefully steered the city into a fiscally responsible governmental unit. She works very closely with the City of Harrisburg Intergovernmental Cooperation Authority, the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development, the Dauphin County Board of Commissioners, and Harrisburg Regional Chamber of Commerce to ensure intergovernmental cooperation. The centerpiece of her first year in office happened just a month ago, paying off the 1997 Series D and F bonds. She will further meet with AMBEC to determine the necessary terms to pay off the remaining debt owed to them. If she is successful in paying off both bonds, she will effectively add $12.4 million annually to the city's cash balances. By reducing the debt service for the city and eliminating the high interest payments relating to the AMBEC agreement, she will allow the city to further examine its long-range financial future for capital needs. Harrisburg was founded in 1719 and was incorporated in 1860. That means it's one of the oldest cities in the United States and also resides in the Northeast, which of course, has the winters and the rougher weather. So it's a real challenge for all capital items. Mayor Williams understands this, and she believes that the importance of investing in capital items is critical. As part of her long-term plan, the mayor plans to borrow money in the near future.
Even with this, even with the borrowing, the city will anticipate a strong general fund balance through 2026. With the careful management of its debt portfolio, the mayor has realistically put forth this bold, long-term financial management plan. Harrisburg's fiscal revival doesn't happen without the Honorable Wanda R.D. Williams. Since the Act 47 Strong Plan was implemented in 2012, she is the only person from the city to be engaged throughout the entirety of that process. And she was both council president and mayor during that process. And her next major priority is economic development. After experiencing the effects of the pandemic, there's still much more to do to encourage business development to invest in Harrisburg, to improve the housing stock by encouraging moderate to low-income housing, and to provide an opportunity for diverse businesses to thrive within the city. To speak more about this topic, I have the honor of introducing Denise Hill, the Director of Building and Housing and Economic Development for the City of Harrisburg.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. As Marita Kelly so graciously said, my name is Denise Hill. I am the proud Director of Housing and Economic Development for the City of Harrisburg. Our mission is simple: to help build our communities with access to fair, safe, livable, and affordable housing and economic opportunities. The mission is accomplished by providing in-house programs and services supporting nonprofit housing and development organizations, and through partnering on revitalization and redevelopment projects. One of the main ways we are able to provide for the city residents is through a robust and diverse collection of grants. Thanks to the Emergency Solutions Grant provided by HUD, we've gotten funding for shelters, street outreach, labor, and materials needed to combat homelessness. We provide support for individuals and families, unaccompanied youth, families with children, and those fleeing or attempting to flee domestic violence. Since January, under Mayor Wanda R.D. Williams' administration, we have funded temporary emergency shelter initiatives, homeless prevention, and rapid rehousing. We allocated $279,661.03 to essential services and operating costs for City of Harrisburg ESG subrecipients. These funds served 4 projects providing services to 398 individuals in 279 households. For the upcoming program year, we plan to fund 8 organizations in the total amount of $168,983. The Housing Rehabilitation Program, or HRP, set a goal to complete 14 projects of assisting homeowners with roof repair, plumbing, HVAC, and electrical work. I am proud to announce that a total of 21 homes have been completed in the last 10 months. Over $250,000 of CDBG funds have gone toward safety upgrades and stabilizing neighborhoods within our community. 53 homes were made safer this year thanks to our Lead Safe program. This initiative abates or reduces lead exposure and hazards for families with children under the age of 6. The lead team remains one of the top performing programs in the state after significant challenges exacerbated by the COVID pandemic. And the mortgage and rent relief program closed out in the first quarter of 2022, where $1 million provided mortgage, rent, and essential utility assistance to 350 households to keep Harrisburg residents housed and landlords paid during the COVID shutdown and long after. There are great and exciting things on the horizon for the economic development of the city. Currently, there are efforts to bring healthy and affordable grocery options to identified food deserts. We also plan to host workshops for small businesses and continue to build relationships with local universities and financial institutions.
Lastly, the plans put forward by Mayor Williams for American Rescue Plan funds will fortify DBHD's mission and the mayor's priorities to assist senior citizens and create affordable housing. By committing 30% of these funds to these efforts, this administration will secure the fabric of this city and not just invest in economic growth and housing. More importantly, it will strengthen the emphasis on creating and maintaining a sense of community and home for all who live and do business here. And now it is my honor to welcome and introduce Steve Bortner, the city's Director of Information Technology.
Thank you, Denise. Good afternoon. Before I get started with my remarks, here's a brief video of how things could have looked within the city's IT department. I know. Unfortunately, that video is not from our IT department, but it might as well have been. My name is Steve Warner, and I'm the Director of Information Technology for the city of Harrisburg. Typically, you only hear about IT when something goes wrong. Thanks, however, to the support of Mayor Williams and her administration, we are about to do something very right, and it will impact every one of us in this room. Earlier this year, we started Operation Municipal Migration. Over the next few months, we will begin our transition into the Munis system from Tyler Technologies. What does this mean for us and ultimately you? Think of it this way. You owned an 85 Oldsmobile. It got the job done. It was a bit of a lemon. And now you're upgrading to a Beamer. Just picture how that will help with our needs for financial management, human capital management, tax billing, licensing, permits, codes enforcement, utility billing, and asset management. This is a game changer. Operation Municipal Migration will be implemented in 6 distinct phases over the course of about 2 years. Currently, the project team is working on the financials phase, which will replace and retire our existing finance system. The human capital management phase and the tax billing phase will get started within the next month. Under the Mayor Williams administration, the city will be able to transition to systems that are fully integrated. All of our residents, businesses, vendors, and employees will soon be able to access all of their own information to provide self-service on a schedule that fits their needs. Online payment options will be expanded for all customers. Bills for utilities, taxes, licenses, and other items will be available online and can also be emailed to help reduce mailing costs. Mobile capabilities will be available for those city employees that need it to properly perform their duties each day. Once fully implemented, the overall costs for city systems and hardware to support those systems will be reduced by several $100,000 per year. In addition to the migration project that is currently underway, IT implemented a new phone system which will save the city over $25,000 per year in phone costs. The changes spearheaded by the city's IT department will impact all of us. It is an unbelievably exciting time to work and live here in Harrisburg. As we continue to work on Operation Municipal Migration and get ready to introduce additional components of the system, we will be communicating with those who need to be aware of new features available to them. Thank you.
And now it is my pleasure to introduce the mayor's special advisor, Gina Roberson, who will tell you all about the city's incredible community engagement over the last 10 months.
They save the best for last. What's the word, Harrisburg? My name is Gina Roberson. Some of you may be aware of the public service program airing on WHBG Channel 20. As the special advisor and head of community engagement to Mayor Wanda R.D. Williams, what we are doing with with our show, What's the Word, Harrisburg, is shining a light on one of the strengths of this administration, getting out into Harrisburg and promoting community engagement. The people, the businesses, everything that makes this city special. Open communication and transparency are important tenets for Mayor Wanda R.D. Williams' administration. Assessing the needs of senior citizens and the youth are also a major focus for the administration. In an attempt to help the aforementioned group of people, as well as other citizens, community leaders, and organizations, a first, the mayor has allowed her schedule to be open on Fridays. Through the City of Harrisburg website, harrisburgpa.gov/mayor. You are able to make an appointment to meet with the mayor to discuss your concerns and ask questions. Most of the inquiries are about community-related issues, housing, and small businesses opportunities. Since the mayor's inauguration, there have been 200 scheduled appointments, 90 proclamations, and 60 community engagements to date. Some issues were resolved immediately, some took some time to resolve, and others are still pending. There were some issues that prompted the mayor and myself to go out into the field to visit some sites. The most important thing is that the mayor is aware of your concerns. She's a good listener, and your issues will be addressed in the appropriate manner if they have not been already. Mayor Williams is a lifelong Harrisburg resident, and bringing the people of Harrisburg together is important to her administration. In recognition of Juneteenth, on Saturday, June 18, 2022, the city of Harrisburg, along with Dauphin County Commissioners Mike Prees, George Hartwick III, and Chad Saylor, hosted our first Juneteenth event. The highlights of that day were the Youth Jazz Band from Washington, D.C., the Singers Lounge, UPMC's Healthy Harrisburg, led by Lieutenant Colonel Krista Turner-Childs, the Deputy Commissioner of Staff for the Pennsylvania State Police, and lots of local performers who did renditions representing Harrisburg's historic 8th Ward. Last, but certainly not least, did you guys know Mayor Williams was a rock star? Look, Tommy Lee thinks so. The legendary Motley Crue rocker was one of the number of dignitaries to come through City Hall's doors this year. Senator Bob Casey, the consulates from Germany and Canada, actor Giancarlo Esposito, academic Michael Eric Dyson, comedians Bill Bellamy and D.L. Hughley, and sports superstars LaShawn McCoy, Chris Franklin, there you go, James Franklin, and of course, the mayor's favorite defensive player, Micah Parsons. Even the U.S. Navy docked their ship in City Hall and updated us on one of their newest ships,
the USS Harrisburg. It is being built in Mississippi and will be christened in 2024. How's that for your first 10 months? All right, let's give one more round of applause to Mayor already waiting for their administration. We appreciate everyone's time on a dais today. We want to be mindful of everyone's time. A lot of the questions we had prepared were answered during the course of the remarks, but the last two that we talked to you about, I think one big issue I know for us is the Chamber and Cretic as we go forward. Denise has heard me talk about this, the Cretic meetings is, the future, certainly in downtown Harrisburg with hybrid work, remote work. Certainly foot traffic is down and we're trying to get some information, but what has the city been doing in terms to try to help with revitalization downtown? I know the mayor is very active, engaged with the DID. What's the future of downtown Harrisburg and what can we work together on to try to help us transition to this hybrid remote work economy? I read all your questions down. Okay. So, well, I have my economic director, as well as my letter director. I'm meeting with developers and businesses with emphasis on addressing food and security in different locations in the city. He has presently met with Giant. He has met with Wise, Krugers, and he is in the process of meeting with other fast food organizations and trying to get them to come into the city of Harrisburg. He has second meetings set up within the next 2 months. So we should see some process in 2023 about having more businesses come into the city. That's great. I know the mayor personally wants Wawa Sheets or Chick-fil-A, right? Chick-fil-A. That's what you've been. Chick-fil-A. There you go. Yes. Denise, I don't know if you have anything else to add. I know we talk about it.
Just to echo the sentiments of the mayor, we were working very closely with businesses to discuss what their needs are, where the gaps are, and how we can partner with them, running special events to bring people in. And as we know, the pandemic and COVID has changed how we do things. However, we can adapt and overcome and work with the changes that are being made. So we're working to run specials with restaurants, with those that are on a hybrid schedule so that we can run lunch specials or happy hour specials. So we're working very closely with businesses.
That's great. Thanks, Denise. Mayor, I'll give you the final question here. You all got an audience of business and community leaders. What is one thing you wish they knew about the city of Harrisburg?
Oh, that's a good thing. Great thing. Wrote that down too. See if I can find it. But before I answer that question, let me just say this to you, Ryan. This administration is not normal like your other administrations. We are committed to every neighborhood of this city. I know a lot of questions as we ask, you're doing things uptown, you're doing things downtown. We are committed to doing things downtown, midtown, uptown, Allison Hill, Hall Manor, Shipoke. We are certainly listening to all the residents. We want to lift them up and encourage them and give them a voice. And this is important to all of us, the 50,000 plus that live in the city of Harrisburg. So I want everyone to know that we're not only concentrating on certain areas of the city, we're concentrating the whole city of Harrisburg. When we hear about Shipoke, no, it's Harrisburg. Allison Hill, it's Harrisburg. So I want everybody to make sure that they understand that I have no priority in any area of the city. The whole city of Harrisburg is important to me. And another thing is what I want people to know about Harrisburg is that we can't go back where we were and change the beginning, but we are going to start and we're going to change the ending of how we revitalize the city of Harrisburg. There you go.
On behalf of the Harrisburg Regional Chamber in Cretic and as a proud resident of the city of Harrisburg in Midtown Harrisburg, we thank you, Mayor, and the folks in the dais today for taking the time
to be with us. The core value for our organization is that we will always be unrelentingly and unapologetically positive storytellers about our work, this region, and our city. Today, we found plenty to tell stories about, and we stand ready to partner with you and the administration on the continued growth and economic success of Harrisburg. Thank you all for your service. Let's give them one final round of applause.
And Ryan, before we leave tonight, I just want to make sure that everybody understands we have 100 new homes that will be built in the year 2023 in the city of Harrisburg.
That's great. We're going to start right there. This concludes today's program. If you did get parking, you can get it validated at the Hilton guest desk. It's only if you were in the Warren Street garage. We hope to see you again at some of our other additional upcoming events, including the Catalyst Awards right here in this very room on December 7th. You can find all of that on our website. Thank you for attending today. Thank you, Mayor and your team, and make it a great day in Harrisburg. Thanks, everyone.